Update. Am I the a-hole for not letting my ex-husband and one of his future stepkids come inside? Original post. Our custody arrangement is for each of us to pick the kids up on our day during our 2-hour pickup window. He arrived at the house, and I already had the boys ready. I saw his car pull into the driveway on my camera, so the boys were already halfway to the door when my ex knocked. I opened the door, and he was holding the hand of a 4-year-old. He asked to come in and said his fiance's son needed to use the bathroom. I told him I didn't want him to come inside because I don't feel comfortable with him in my house. He has a history of snooping through my things. He asked me to take his future stepson to the bathroom, and I said I was uncomfortable with the situation. He said his stepson needed to pee. I suggested the McDonald's up the road. He said my bathroom would be way cleaner than a McDonald's. At this point, my 11-year-old started pestering his dad to stop so they could leave. My ex said, "Your brother needs to use the bathroom." My son said, "I'll take him." My ex said, "No, your mother would rather he pee his pants. We'll go, and hopefully we'll get to the McDonald's in time." My ex and the boys left. He messaged me afterward, saying I was cruel to a child to punish him, and that's not okay. He said I made us both look bad in front of our kids and should be embarrassed by my actions. I have been fighting with him for so long that my perspective is screwed up. Was I in the wrong? Edit. We're already scheduled for court because of a movie incident. The boys wanted to watch Superman the day it came out, which was during my custody time. I told them I would take them. He texted me afterwards saying he doesn't want me to take them because he wants to do it. I told the boys their dad wants to take them and they could decide between going with me or going with him. They wanted to go the day it came out. There's no rule saying he can tell me not to take them to movies he wants to take them to, so I took them. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. If the kid needed to pee, the ex could have stopped prior to arriving at his ex's. He knows the relationship is strained. Good Lord, he has a 2-hour window. My ex and I, 6 p.m. The end. It's a little boy. He can pee basically anywhere. Point and shoot. Not the a-hole. He wanted to snoop. This was obvious after he rejected your son's offer to take the kid to the bathroom. Sneaky, isn't he? Always has been. He's an intelligent man. Intelligent but predictable. Nothing good can come of that. He's setting you up for a no-win situation. Think to yourself, nice try, and move on. I'm sorry for what you're dealing with. Okay, so I like to ask my husband these scenarios and get his 2 cents. He seems to think, because you've stated you've had multiple problems with the ex, that this was more about control. He wanted you to do what he said. Was the boy hurting and crying because he had to go? If not, my spouse thinks it was a power play by your ex. If it were me, I would have asked my son to take him and told the ex to go wait in his car. But if this douche just likes to jerk you around, then not the a-hole. He was holding my ex's hand and kind of looking around. He didn't say anything. Your son actually offered to take the kid to the bathroom and your ex declined. Sounds like a power play to me. You can remind him that he is not welcome in your house unless it's a matter of life or limb, and he needs to organize himself properly before he arrives. Now for the first update. I did talk to my lawyer about what happened. He said we can address it at the hearing we already have scheduled about the movie situation. I thought that was that, but of course, it was my turn to pick up the kids today. When I arrived at my ex's place, he opened the door very wide and invited me in. I was suspicious and said no thank you. He kept insisting I come in so we could show the kids we are civil, but I had a bad feeling. I said I would just wait in the car for the boys to come out. I got in my car and texted my older son that I was there. A short while later, he texted me back saying his dad said they couldn't leave unless I got them. I went back to the door and knocked again. Again, my ex invited me inside. I said I didn't want to come in, and that was when my boys showed up. My ex's fiancé was right behind them, telling them to come back upstairs. They ran to me and we left. I don't know what his game is, but I'm not falling for it, whatever it is. OP, I truly cannot emphasize this more. Document like crazy. I don't know if this was going to turn into them just yelling or scolding you for some made-up BS or something else, but regardless, you need to let your lawyer know. Good luck, because things with this psychopath are not going to get better soon. Plus, besides documenting, if she lives in a one-party consent state, she can record via her cell phone video or a GoPro their interactions to show in court what's happening. Plus, the recording can be just audio done in a similar fashion. There's no reason for him to come into her home, and for her safety, she shouldn't enter his. Personally, I'd say as he opened the door, "I'm recording pickups from now on. Please explain why you refuse to let my children leave your house until I come inside." Not the a-hole. He was way too insistent for you to come in and then refuse to let your kids leave? No, always follow your gut, especially when the spider is so persistent in inviting the fly into the parlor. The last time I heard of a woman who didn't listen to her gut when her ex insisted that she had to come inside his home to retrieve her kids was on 48 Hours. Her ex tried to sexually assault her. In the process, she lost her shoes and sweatpants, then beat her viciously, put duct tape over her mouth, and put her in a trash can, then took it to his storage facility. She was able to make a muffled call to 911 on her cell and heard the police siren going to his house from the back of his truck as she was being driven away. Unfortunately, he heard her on the phone and took it away. They finally tracked down the storage locker after she'd spent the night horribly injured and naked from the waist down in the trash can in sub-freezing temperatures. She was able to move some of the tape off her mouth and crack the lid on the sealed can to get air. She was found about an hour away from death, but she survived, losing her toes due to frostbite. Women are trained to not listen to their instincts. It's time we start trusting them because they exist for a reason. Second update. Just concluded our hearing, and it went okay all things considered. The judge said that neither of us needs the permission of the other to take the children to age-appropriate experiences like movies. He told my ex not to tell me I can't take the kids to do certain things because he wants to do them. If he wants to do them, he can, but so can I. So that was a win. The judge was annoyed that there was another drop-off issue. He was especially annoyed because the reason he gave my ex a 2-hour window for drop-offs was that my ex said he needed the flexibility since he is a caretaker of his fiancé's children. If he's taking them with him to drop-offs, why does he need 2 hours? The judge told him, "Do not take his fiancé's children to my house and do not ask to come inside my house." He told me not to ask to go inside his house either. He also told me not to rush my ex and to be patient and allow the children time to come to the door. I wasn't rushing him, but I didn't say that to the judge. I just agreed. My ex also dropped the bombshell that the week of the wedding, he needs me to pick the kids up from the resort the wedding is at, instead of his house because they are going on their honeymoon straight from the resort and not returning home. I am very uncomfortable with this, and my lawyer said that is too much of a burden to put on me. The judge disagreed with my lawyer and said we all have to be flexible sometimes, so I am stuck doing that. I feel like he intentionally started fights about the previous 2 issues he knew he would lose on, so the judge would side with him on the final issue to make things fair. Maybe I'm just paranoid? So, 2 wins and a loss. Hopefully they'll be too happy about being married to pull any stunts. I know it sucks that you have to drive to get them, but this is great news about the rest. He has additional rules that stick forever, while you are only inconvenienced once. If you could only win on 2, I'm glad it was the 2 you got. You are correct. I feel good about that, even though I am incredibly stressed out. I am worried he is going to try to trick me into doing or saying something that can be perceived as hostile and tell the judge I sabotaged his wedding. Organize to have a friend or family member who is good at making you see the ridiculousness of your ex or keeping you calm come with you to pick up the kids from the wedding venue. The buddy system doesn't stop being a good idea when you turn 18. It's useful throughout our lives. You could turn the pickup into a mini vacay at the same resort just for fun and giggles. Imagine their faces when you are lying by the pool, not the a-hole. Under no circumstances will I be doing that. I have no intention of ever doing anything that can be perceived as inflammatory. In and out. You have the right mindset. As satisfying as petty little jabs would be, anything that can be reframed as confrontational or provocative should be avoided. Yes, thank you. Why give him additional motivation to continue to treat me poorly? Perhaps I can shame him into better behavior by refusing to retaliate. Now for the third update. Well, I thought I would update everyone on what happened when I picked my kids up for my ex-husband's wedding. First of all, I got there at 8:20. As soon as I arrived, I texted my ex and my older son that I was there. Then I walked into the lobby. I checked my phone and had no response from either. I waited until 8:40 and then walked to the front desk. I said I was there to pick up my children and asked if maybe my ex had left a message at the desk for me. They knew nothing. I called my older son, and he didn't answer. I called my ex, and he didn't answer. At this point, my anxiety was bad, and I felt sick. At 9, I called my lawyer, and his receptionist said he would call me back. I kept calling my older son, and he didn't answer. This was unusual for him. I was scared something had happened. I asked the front desk which room they were in, and they couldn't tell me, which I understood. At 9:20, I called the police. It took them a while to get there. When they arrived, it was past 10, the pickup window. I was panicking. All I could think was that my ex was going to tell the judge I was late. When the police arrived, they asked the front desk for my ex's room number. They told the police he had checked out. I didn't know what to think. They asked the front desk if they had kids with them when they left, and they said no. They said my kids were actually booked in a suite with her kids and his parents, and they had paid for late checkout. The officers told me to wait downstairs and went to the room. They came back with my kids and their stuff, and we left. My oldest said his grandfather took his phone away, and they stayed up late and had no alarm set. Both boys said their grandparents were furious when the cops showed up. My lawyer eventually called me back, and we scheduled another custody hearing for after the honeymoon. At the hearing, my ex tried to put everything on me. He said he told me the kids would be with his parents. He didn't, and that I staged the whole thing to make him look bad. He also said me calling the police traumatized the kids. I showed the judge all of our communication. The judge even interviewed my kids, who said even they didn't know they would be with their grandparents until the prior evening, by which point my oldest's phone had already been confiscated. The judge gave me primary custody with visitation and said all pickups and drop-offs will now be at neutral locations with a 30-minute window. He was done. He was pissed. My ex has filed to have our case transferred to another judge because this one is clearly biased against him. In the meantime, though, the boys and I are happy and doing well. They're both getting great grades so far this year. You're such a saint. I would have lost all patience with your ex before this point. Just reading this is exhausting, so I can only imagine how you feel. I'm glad things seem to be working out for you and the kiddos. Hopefully your ex can't switch judges. I hope so too, but honestly, I think he'll get his way. He is very convincing, but I won't cross that bridge until I get to it. With the pickups and drop-offs in neutral locations, make sure to get a front and rear dash cam, park facing out for best coverage, and get a separate small phone to record your interactions. Or take along a friend as a witness. This last post gave me anxiety, and you need all the protection possible. Your ex is gonna learn a lesson about family court judges. When you file to have a case transferred and the previous judge was competent and followed the law and did what was best for the kids, the next judge tends to get pissy that someone is attempting to skirt a legal ruling simply because they don't like it. I hope that's the case in this instance. Last story. I told my girlfriend, now ex, I acknowledge other women are pretty and she dumped me. Am I the a-hole? Hi, I'm just trying to find some clarification for an opportunity for some self-growth if it's needed. Where better than strangers on the internet? I, 27 male, was just in my first real relationship with, let's call her V, 25 female, for 5 months. When you're in a relationship, are you supposed to stop finding other women pretty? I'm not talking about attraction, just an acknowledgement in your head that they are in fact a pretty person. For context, a couple of weeks ago, V was asking me reassurance questions, and the last one was, do you ever find other women pretty and think about being with them instead of me? I responded with no, but I sighed first since she had asked many. She pushed me, saying I hesitated, so I elaborated, no, I do think other women are pretty, rarely an oh wow they're beautiful, but the thought stops there. Definitely haven't thought of being with anyone else. Maybe I shouldn't have shared all that, but honesty was a big thing for her, so I told the truth. A couple of days later, we went to Target together, and her mood soured right before we left. She just went silent. She gave me the silent treatment for over an hour before leaving for work, then texted me, you have a staring problem. Apparently, I turned my head and looked a woman up and down right in front of her. did not happen, and then looked too long at a girl who was at the end of the aisle when approaching. In the time it took my brain to go, oh, they are kind of in the way. Are they going to go this way or that way? Can I cross? She said I had locked eyes and stared way too long. It turned into a big fight over the phone. During that, apparently, I told her more often than not, when we leave the house, I recognize that a woman is pretty, but that lady in question definitely wasn't one, and that wasn't why I was looking. I had been staying at her place more often than not, and we were talking about me officially moving in. Well, she told me to pack all my stuff and get out over the phone, and she ended the relationship because she can't get over that I recognize other pretty people as pretty so often. We live in Florida. There are pretty people everywhere. I don't understand how acknowledgement without inappropriate thoughts is okay if it happens once in a while, but if it happens more often, I'm the bad guy? Again, we live in Florida. There are objectively pretty people everywhere. That's not my fault. I would attach some screenshots, but apparently this community doesn't allow them. First Reddit account, I don't know. The women in my family I've asked about this and shared screenshots with said I wasn't the a-hole, but they love me and are biased. I think V getting advice from her male best friend a few states away is problematic, and he's not giving her good advice. I mean, who takes relationship advice from someone who is a known cheater? I'm just venting now, that's unrelated. If you take me at my word that I'm a loving and caring partner, supported her getting into school by giving her my laptop and almost $1,000, paid rent last month, helped around the house with cleaning, laundry, dishes, and cooking, don't have Instagram or Snapchat, don't do anything sneaky, don't talk to any females except family, and gave her full access to my phone. But I'm the bad guy, and she's broken things off because I recognize that other pretty people are in fact pretty people? So, random internet people, am I the a-hole? Am I the reason this relationship failed? Or did I dodge a bullet before officially moving in with her? Thanks. This is a conversation that you had as a 27-year-old with a 25-year-old? People don't stop being attractive just because you're in a relationship. Your ex sounds very insecure and childish. Honestly, he's 27 and in his first relationship as well. I don't expect either of their relational maturity to be all that great, to be honest. He seems to be relationing just fine. She's the one acting like they're 12. My partner's ex looks like a supermodel. I'm not exaggerating. She is stunning. But he's with me now. Your ex is insecure. Edit. I didn't think I was the a-hole. Maybe I just needed a place to vent. The suddenness and reason for the breakup just had me baffled. Having an overwhelming number of people say I was not the a-hole has helped me let go of the situation. Also, I see a lot of comments about staring. I'm mindful of my gaze. I do people watch when I'm bored. Look at tattoos, clothes, shoes, but I didn't check women out up and down or stare because of attraction in front of her. If she doesn't ask, I can't help what she assumes when I look in another direction. Per the example I listed, I looked long enough to wonder what the lady's next move was, so I didn't get in her way or run into her. My dad cringes me out and makes me uncomfortable with the way he looks at women, so I'm definitely mindful of my gaze.